Amelia here again. Today was not one of the normal peaceful days that we had with the Queen. She was more lost than usual. She was acting like if nothing wrong was going on. Oh, scratch that. She knew something was going on, but I think she pretended to not care, or she pretended to not know. I think she secretly knows Claudius and Laertes are planning something behind her back. We were walking in earlier in the morning, and we walked in on Laertes telling Claudius to shush about Hamlet. And so we believe that something is going on. Although we haven't talked about it, she usually tells me everything. She usually tells no one else everything and just trusts me with everything, but she acted like if nothing was wrong. Even after Ophelia's death, she keeps on hiding her secrets. I saw this before with the king. We'll get further into that later, but first we have to talk about Ophelia. Ophelia was like a daughter to the queen, and she's acting stronger than usual. She's keeping everything to herself a lot, but I can see it in her eyes. She looks very, very sad. She also looks skinnier than usual. I think it's because she stopped eating. She stopped eating so much ever since King Hamlet died. Maybe on the outside she seems happy with Claudius, but on the inside I know she misses King Hamlet, and I know she's in shock still of Hamlet's change of behavior. In fact, Hamlet is her son, and he disrespects her so much. She must be in shock. She's told me that she can't believe what Hamlet did, and how come Hamlet could have killed poor Polonius. He didn't deserve it. But then again, it was never Hamlet's intention. When we were in the room, and I had just laid down the queen for bed, he was asking for Claudius, I remember. And the queen knows this. She knows that Hamlet was looking for Claudius. She knows that something is wrong, yet she does not seek further questioning. Is this because she's afraid of something bigger? Something bigger behind everything, something more powerful than everything that is going on. Maybe everything that is going on that has been weird for a while has everything to do with King Hamlet's death. The queen refuses to talk about King Hamlet. I think it's because she misses him so much. Or maybe it's because she can't get it in her head that he's gone. She has decided to move on very quickly. And I think this is because she feels the need to not be lonely. The queen loves Hamlet so much. I can't believe he's so mean to her. I can't believe he disrespects her so harshly. The queen is in shock. Her own son is turning against her. Her own son is disappointed in her. But maybe she deserves it. I mean, she did in fact move on very fastly from King Hamlet. But it's not her fault. Maybe she just didn't want the throne to collapse. In fact, just look at Hamlet now. Does he even deserve the throne? The queen knows this, but she still worries about him. He is in fact her son. She still loves him. The queen feels like he should marry Ophelia. Maybe Ophelia would be good for her. I saw her more in Ophelia, and she started saying that she imagined a future of Hamlet and Ophelia turning Hamlet into a good man. The queen has poor judgment of character. She does not want to see things for what they are, but for what they. She decides to see things for what they could be. Maybe that's a flaw in her. She always wants to see the best in people. Maybe that's why she sees so hardly in Hamlet, because maybe I can't even see anything at all. Hamlet doesn't seem so special after all. The queen saw the good in Ophelia, and how she would eventually pass it on to Hamlet. Talking about Ophelia again, I can't believe she's dead. I can't believe Hamlet killed Polonius. And the queen is still in shock. She has remained silent through all of this. The only time I saw her express herself about her true feelings about Ophelia was at her grave, in which she said how much she cared about her. Oh, scratch that. She also talked about Ophelia, and Ophelia was singing poor songs about death and of how she was turning crazy. The queen couldn't believe it. Poor Ophelia, she had so much innocence in her. The queen knew this. The queen saw Ophelia. The queen saw a little bit of Ophelia in her. She saw a little bit of her in Ophelia. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe I'm just so overwhelmed that I can't even write any more diary. Instead of thinking logically, I believe the queen decides to think with only her emotions. She's a very irrational person. Instead of talking to Claudius about everything and about turning against Hamlet, she decides to just go with the flow. I don't believe she has a personality of her own, but she is in fact the queen. She should. She should stand up for her people and stand up for what she believes in, but she doesn't. She decides to remain quiet, even though she deserves the position of being a queen more than King Claudius. King Claudius took it away from King Hamlet. I know there's something wrong between this. I've heard it in the castle. In fact, these walls echo everything. The main talk of the castle around these days has been about death. Just look at Polonius's death, King Hamlet's death, Ophelia's death. Not exactly in that order, diary, but death has been around here for a long time now. I can't picture. The castle has been very gloomy. The queen has gone through a lot. First her first husband dying, then one of her friends, Polonius, and trusted, what can I say about Polonius? He was very nice to the queen. She trusted him a lot. And next Ophelia, that she considered her daughter? The poor queen, she has gone through so much. And even though she still has love in her heart, she still has love for Hamlet, she still has love for everything around her, but she decides to act upon emotions and not rationality. Instead of using logic and trying to find something, the deeper thing behind what is going on around the castle, she decides to be driven by her emotions and by what's going on around her. She needs to focus. She in fact is the queen. I think this has to do with the fact that she doesn't have self-confidence. She reflects it in every action she makes, in every decision she takes. She doubts herself. She doubts her decisions, which is why I believe that she let Hamlet speak to her so rudely, and why she doesn't question King Claudius so much. I think it's because she knows deep inside her that something is going on, but she decides to ignore it. I think this happened since her remarriage. Talking about her remarriage, she remarried very fastly. She remarried very fastly. And I think she just doesn't want to be alone. The poor queen, she's always had someone by her side, always had to take care of someone else. She's never just focused on herself, never became independent. Now that I think of it, she's always had to depend on someone. Maybe she's gotten used to the feeling. Maybe she doesn't know how to live without anyone. But that's terrible, because a queen has to be able to rule a country. In case if her husband died, maybe that was because she was quick to remarry. Also, maybe she had Hamlet back then, but now she doesn't. Hamlet's turned an assassin, and she can't face that. Her own son has now betrayed her, disappointed her, has now left her without words. But then again, even though the queen loved Hamlet, Hamlet surely stopped obsessing over the queen after King Hamlet died. He was disappointed in her, in fact, because he saw how fast she remarried. I mean, this castle is pretty big, but the gossip, it's pretty small. The topics are mostly the same every day. I mean, we talk about the hypocrisy of the queen and how she promised King Hamlet love forever, and 2 weeks later she married King Claudius now? It's kind of hypocritical. Also, I can't believe but think that it's fake love. Maybe she just remarried to not be alone. Loneliness of the queen is a very big topic. I mean, She can't sit by herself. But her room is like a symbol for her. More than a symbol, it's like a cave, like that's where she hides all of her secrets. Her room is like her hiding place. Exactly like her hiding place. And her wedding ring? Well, it depends on which wedding ring you're talking about. I mean, she keeps it. She stays in her room, just stares at her wedding ring. Right now, King Claudius' wedding ring. Maybe she just can't believe it. She's married again. Maybe she just can't believe that she betrayed King Hamlet and married another. Was it fake love from the beginning, or is it fake love now? Oh, Gertrude, what have you gotten yourself into? Are you so unhappy now that you can't be alone? She can't face her fears. She can't face being alone. I can already picture her days from now being stuck in her room for a long time. And that dull, dark room. The castle doesn't seem as happy as when King Hamlet was here. We all speak of it. Everything has changed. It is now revolving around Claudius and how he wants to take over the kingdom. But the queen just sits in her room. She just smiles and nods at Claudius, agrees with everything he says. Shouldn't a queen be able to stand up tall next to or taller than King Claudius? She's a friend to me, and yet she's